Hey, honey.
Yes, Barry?
Let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Hey, maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos Beach, and the El Dorado Restaurant Beach Club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand, right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week we're going to go to a very cool spot. It's situated way up in the Emiliano Zapata neighborhood of Puerto Vallarta. It's a very local, it's a fun bar. It's a restaurant and a bar. It's a grill. It's called Pasa. And we're going to be talking with the guy in charge. His name is Scott Naida. We're going to also visit with one of our favorite people in Puerto Vallarta. Her name is Melissa Canas. You know her over at Corazon de Nina, which is a home for at-risk young adults and children, kids, I should say. We're going to get an update from her. But before we get to Melissa and Scott, let's see what's happening this week in Puerto Vallarta, the 20th day of October, 2020. First of all, I hope you're all doing okay. This is a very stressful time for all of us. At least it is for me. And I've been pretty busy selling homes, so I'm really sorry that it's a little harder to get these episodes out. But I've been working at it very, very diligently, and I'm doing what I can. I've been trying to get people on with their lives, and that's what I do. People are stressed out. My job becomes a combination of being a psychologist and a biologist and a real estate agent. And right now I have a home seller who's a hoarder and a cat lady. And talk about a psychologist and a biologist. It's more like needing a little bit of a degree in biohazard. Anyway, this is not my first hoarding cat lady rodeo, by the way, but I'm writing a book, I'm going to tell you. Have I ever told you the story about my wife discovering a dead home seller? No? Well, it's almost Dia de los Muertos, so maybe I'll do a little Vallarta news before I tell you about that. It is the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. It's not the Barry Kessler Show. But this particular story is already in that book that my wife and I are writing about home selling in California. The names will be changed, of course, to protect the shy and the innocent, and, of course, us from lawsuits. But here we go. Let's get to Vallarta news, shall we? Actually, right now as I speak, there is a big demonstration right now on Carretera 200 over at Mismaloya, where the arches are, where Los Arcos are. There's a bunch of people protesting there. The regional National Guard is there. The police are there. The local tourist police are there. The protest is about these a proposed condominium complex, which actually they began to already build right on the beach, directly adjacent from the arches, from those iconic arches. I mean, I cannot believe it. I've seen some renderings here of these condos, and it is, I don't know. I've got some people over in Ms. Maloya. They're funneling me some information, but this would be really wrong, folks, if they did this right there, right across from the arches. Anyway, next week I will bring you more, but wow, that's all I can tell you right now. I do have a video that I will try to embed in the show notes, so you can, of course, can find them at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. And speaking of wow, the Dia de los Muertos celebrations have been canceled due to the COVID. That's right. Dia de los Muertos celebrations are dead in Puerto Vallarta. No Katrinas. There will be no trick-or-treating on the Malecon, no house-to-house trick-or-treating, nada. It's really, really, really sad that it's, unfortunately it's become all too familiar this year. All these cancellations of, centuries-old traditions celebrated, all around the world, I guess. So there will be no altars built on the Malecon to celebrate as usual. The cemeteries will also be closed. The processions and all that, none of that but will be permitted as per the orders of Governor Enrique Alfaro, who is still, by the way, threatening to shut down activity and lock down everybody for 14 days should the cases in Puerto Vallarta continue to rise. Of course, rising cases, hospitalizations and deaths are down. But the threat is still real, I guess, and everybody will need to be doing their own private gatherings and making their own Dia de los Muertos work out for them. So anyway, those are two kind of sad stories, aren't they? Let's get to mine. Let's talk about my Halloween or Dia de los Muertos story, shall we? About 6 years ago, Debbie and I had a listing in our neighborhood. It was just around the corner from our house, and this lady listed her home with us, and it was a beautiful home, but she wanted way too much money for it, and she wanted us to list the house for what was about $100,000 more than it was worth. She said she wasn't in a hurry to sell it, and that she would wait for just the right buyer who would pay that much more for the house because, of course, in her eyes, it was worth $100,000 more. And in our line of business, we usually ask, we usually are asked by our clients to sell the house quickly. It doesn't look good if a real estate agent or even a house seller has their property remain on the market for months and months. It just doesn't look good. It makes the agent look bad because, he or she doesn't know how to price it right. And, people start wondering if there's something wrong with the house. But she insisted that we listed at that price. And we figured, why not? The house actually was in our neighborhood. It was right around the corner from us. We got constant advertising because we had our sign out in her front yard for almost a year. And, it was an easy place to do open houses at, and we would point signs to the house, and we got a lot of clients that came in that liked the house but didn't want to spend that much money, but we were also able to show them other houses and sell them other houses. So actually we got a lot of business that way. And so this went on, like I said, for about a year. And during that year, you get a chance to really know your clients pretty well. Now, she wasn't a cat lady or a hoarder for that matter. She did have a tiny teacup poodle that she would actually leave with us when she would leave town to go visit her son up in Seattle. And that's actually where she intended to move when she finally sold her home. We also would drive her every once in a while to her doctor's office or to pick her up from the hospital if she got sick. Or we would take her to the pharmacy and pick up some prescriptions for her because she, as a teenager, had contracted hepatitis, and she got it by receiving some tainted blood during a routine surgery. So she was in and out of Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles all the time. Anyway, these are the things that we do for our clients. We become friends with them. Even crazy cat ladies, for that matter. But one day we got a really good offer on her house, And even though it wasn't $100,000 more, she was basically done waiting for the perfect buyer. And she was ready to make that move up to Washington to join her son because she wasn't that well. So escrow was opened, and the inspections were done, and everything was on track for a really easy close. During the escrow period, the lady, the homeowner, our friend, had mentioned that she was planning to go up and look for property with her son. And I noticed one day that she had taken out her trash cans a couple days early. And so I assumed that she had left town. Of course, that surprised me because she didn't ask us to watch her dog. And I could actually hear her dog barking from inside the house when I walked past. And a couple days went by, and we hadn't heard from her. And so my wife, Debbie, called her son up north to see if she was with him. And he got back to her and told her that no, she wasn't. So, So this was actually Halloween Day, and my wife was in the office, and she was all dressed up like a witch. So she looked around for somebody to take with her to go do a check on this lady, and she asked our assistant, Mary Jo, if she would go along, and Mary Jo said, "Sure, I'll go." So they got to the house, and they knocked on the door, and no answer, but they could hear the poodle barking. And so they went around to the back of the house and looked through the sliding glass windows, and they saw a horrific mess. They could see the legs of our client on the floor, sticking out from behind something. And they saw a pool of blood, and they got really scared. And so she called the police immediately. And then she went inside, and that's where she found our client, who was lying dead in the hallway of her home. Now, of course, the stench was awful. She'd been there for about 3 days. The place looked like a crime scene. There were chairs and bar stools that were toppled over. There was blood stains all over the carpet. It was a mess. And when the police arrived, what a scene it must have been for them to behold, because here it looked like a bloody murder scene with the local realtor dressed up like a witch. With her assistant in tow, of course. And this was pretty crazy. So my wife went to open up a window because it was pretty bad, and the policeman stopped her, and he said, "Don't touch anything." And he escorted her and our assistant outside across the street to a bench in front of a neighbor's house and asked them to wait. So the detective showed up, and the crime scene tape was put up, and the poodle was placed in Debbie's hands. So she called me up and said, "Hey, Debbie," that was the name of the lady, "Debbie's dead, and the police won't let me leave. So can you come and get this stinky dog?" she says. So anyway, she asked the police if she could go home, and they said, "No, you're not going anywhere, young lady. You're going to wait here until the coroner gets here." So at that moment, the assistant, Mary Jo, she leans into Debbie and she whispers, "If this goes south, I don't know anything about this." So there they sat, the realtor witch, the brutal murderer of the client, who finally, after months and months, decided to sell her overpriced home. It was so Murder, She Wrote-ish. It was so crazy. So hours passed, and it was starting to get dark. And when finally the coroner arrived in his special vehicle, and he went inside, and they determined that she died from loss of blood due to massive internal bleeding, and that she had been throwing up blood due to her illness, due to her liver issues. And apparently she was falling down, and then she was trying to pull herself up from the floor using these bar stools and chairs, which she dragged down, to the floor, which made the whole place look like a total crime scene. And Anyway, she ended up expiring in the hallway. Evidently, she was just trying to crawl to the bathroom, and it was just a total mess. And of course, it was very, very sad because these are our friends. She was a friend. So anyway, the police, having determined through their fancy detective work and the opinion of the coroner that this was not foul play, that this was just a natural death, they allowed my wife and our assistant to finally leave the scene. And it was now twilight, and the trick-or-treaters began to appear on the sidewalks. And the coroner, just as if on cue, wheeled out the body of our client in a body bag on a gurney, crossed the police tape lines and into the coroner's wagon. And those trick-or-treaters, I'm still thinking that probably half of those people just thought that it was an intricate Halloween stunt. It was totally surreal. And you might ask, did we end up selling that house? And the answer is yes. Yes, actually, we were in escrow, like I said. And it so happens that we were in escrow with an emergency room nurse. And she actually didn't really care if the owner had died in the house. She said she sees dead people every day. So, nice. Now she's my neighbor. Anyway, it took days. It took days to get that house to smell right. And we did end up replacing all the carpeting in the house to be able to sweeten that deal and actually to help the house smell better. But the woman's son came down from Washington, and we closed the sale in just a week or two after her death. So that, my friends, is my Dia de los Muertos real estate story, and I hope you enjoyed it. And just remember that real estate is not for the faint of heart, I got to tell you. So let's go back to Puerto Vallarta. Let's see, beaches. Beaches are finally open in Nayarit. That's right. Last week, I was telling you how cruel and mean the governor of the state of Nayarit, Antonio Echeverria Garcia, was, because the beaches in Nueva Vallarta have been closed to beach sitters. You could walk on them, you could dine on them, but you could not sit on them and enjoy them. Anyway, they must have been listening to the show, and in order to avoid criticism and derision, they decided to finally open the beaches in Nayarit. So follow the proper protocols, folks, and nobody will get hurt. Got it? Felicidades a Nayarit. The sand is safe again. Yay! And we got some other news here. Our friend Francine Nguyen from Bonita Kitchen is opening up a new location in the Romantic Zone. And the site is the site of the former La Surtidora del Puente department store at Insurgentes 108 in the Emiliano Zapata neighborhood. It's just southwest of the bridge over the Rio Quale. Recently, that property was I think it was a bed and breakfast or something like that, a little restaurant downstairs. But it's a great location. It's right alongside the river. And the grand opening is scheduled for early November. And Francine will actually be using her old location in Versailles for the new location of Ramanya, which was across the street. She closed that. And so now she will be in Old Town, and she will also be in Versailles. So that is totally, totally cool. Good luck and congratulations to Francine, and I hope to see you when I'm in Vallarta. Now, just talked with the folks over at Canopy River up in Pasa, and I just wanted to check to see if they were doing their Sunday brunch, and they are. They're doing their Saturday and their Sunday brunch still. So add that onto your list of brunches. And I'm going to try to get up there when I get into town next month. Now, by the way, I will be in town November the 8th until the 14th for a short stay, really a short stay. But I'm going to be recording a lot of interviews with some great guests. And I plan to do a meet and greet Tuesday, November the 10th over at Kelly's Por Favor Saloon and Cookhouse. So if you're going to be in town, I would love to see you and hear about what you are doing in paradise. And just remember that JR is, every Tuesday, he is there over at Kelly's Por Favor Saloon and Cookhouse. And I think he gets there at 5:30. So always just make sure you stop in and see him on a Tuesday. By the way, and if you have someone that you want me to interview this time down, send me an email and let's see if I can get him on the show. Now, I got this notification from the Jalisco governor, Enrique Alfaro's Facebook page. I didn't know what was happening, but there is a road connecting Talpa de Allende and Tomatlan. Here's the story, translated from Spanish. I'll try to clean it up a little bit here. From Vallarta Opina Online. Unlike the construction of other projects, which take years to materialize after being announced, the highway to connect Talpa de Allende with Tomatlan is being built at full speed, or at least that's what the government of Jalisco is saying, while other important projects such as the rehabilitation of Highway 544, the still non-existent Federation Bridge, or the bypass from Puerto Vallarta to Tomatlan are still waiting, but the land route from Talpa, Llano Grande to Tomatlan seems to be moving quickly. According to the data released by the state's Secretary of Public Works, the work is at 30% completion, with challenges due to needs for bridges to be built over rugged landscapes. As can be seen in photos, the jungle is literally opening up to make the road passable, with engineering and construction at full speed. When finished, the highway will connect the mountain town of Talpa de Allende with the coastal towns of Tomatlan in just 1 hour and 30 minutes. The section will measure a total of 120 kilometers, and this route will benefit the internal mobility of the state. Those who wish to travel between the two mentioned municipalities will no longer have to go through Puerto Vallarta. Doing so currently takes up to 4.5 hours. And wow, they're cutting like 3 hours off that trip. That's amazing. Anyway, I have a link to that article with pictures of what they're doing in the show notes, and a map that'll show you kind of what that's all about and what that really means for the people up in the mountain towns to be able to make it down to the beaches down around Maito and Tehuamixtle and all those places. Now they can do it in just 1.5 hours, or they will be able to. It's just 30% done, right? All right, keep our fingers and toes crossed. Maybe they can get that done in a year or two. The La Cruz Market is coming back. It's going to be starting up again November the 2nd. That would be Dia de los Muertos, actually. I spoke with Gabino Sandoval, the pull tab maker, and he said that the La Cruz Market is coming back. And that is exciting news. I asked him when the other markets will be opening up again, and he said that the markets like the Olas Altas Market and the Thursday market over at the Marina and the craft markets, they aren't open yet. And he told me that they told him to call him back on the 20th of November to get some further updates. So I did ask him if he was back on the Malecon, actually at his table that he usually has out there in front of Vitea at night, and he said that he did get permission to set up on the Malecon every third day. So you can maybe look for him every third day. I don't know when that's going to be, but slowly it seems like things are returning to normal. Also remember that the Magic Market over at Puerto Mágico is still happening every Friday. From 4 o'clock until, I think it's till 8 or 9. Figure 4 till 8, just to be on the safe side. I saw this sweet little story in Reporta Diario online, and it seems like Marcela Lepe, who is the daughter of the famous Puerto Vallarta artist Manuel Lepe, has actually painted some murals along the new bridge, the southbound bridge that goes over the Rio Quale. When I was in town in August, actually, they were doing a big rehab job on that bridge. They putting up new light standards and doing a lot of cement work and painting it and making it look really nice. I was wondering where they got all that money. But anyway, they were working on it really hard when I was there in August. And it made it actually a really nice canvas for Marcela. So here's the article. It's translated from the Spanish, so here goes. Puente del Rio Quale is painted in colors in the style of Manuel Lepe. The pillars of the Rio Quale Bridge are painted in traditional colors, and it's because Marcela Lepe, a fervent promoter of art in her native Puerto Vallarta, did not miss the opportunity to capture the art of her father Manuel Lepe. At first, it was proposed to paint 8 panels of Manuel Lepe's work, However, there are 34 pillars that are being painted by Marcela Lepe and her nephew, Luis Lepe. With this, a tribute is made to the people of Vallarta, its inhabitants in general, and her Emiliano Zapata colony that saw her grow. Observing that this area was undergoing maintenance, Marcela Lepe took the opportunity to approach the Vallarta City Council with Mayor Arturo Davalos Peña and Director of the Vallarta Institute of Culture, Marina de los Santos, who did not hesitate to support it, give this the impulse, and fill these public spaces with traditional artistic proposal. There are relevant events that are captured through his paintings. We have typical scenes. There are pilgrimages, the laundresses, the river meets the sea, Palapa House, Mermaid. They also paint the inclusion, which is a scene with two little people of the same sex, and the tourist. We have a cruise, plane, and boats, and the objective is to form a story with the paintings and form of Manuel Lepe and paint events that highlight Puerto Vallarta, trying to represent all that we live in Vallarta. And they started last Monday, and it's forecast to finish on Saturday. They do everything afternoons and nights so that they don't disturb anybody, and they can do it in a peaceful way. And I have a link to that article in the show notes, and I can't wait to see those murals myself. I'll get some pictures for you, and I hope maybe to have a chance to meet and talk with Marcela, and maybe have her give us a tour of the Manuel Lepe Museum while I'm at it. Now, by the way, our favorite muralist, one of our favorite muralists, we got tons of them, beautiful muralists here in Puerto Vallarta. Adrian Tecano is knocking off some masterpieces. One of them over in Bucerias, and one of them just now in town. And I'm going to catch up with Adrian when I get back into town. I owe him lunch, for goodness sake. Okay, speaking about catching up, a listener suggested that I get back over to one of our favorite orphanages. No, wait. JR hates when I call it orphanages. They are homes for at-risk children and young adults, JR. And it's called Corazon de Nina, as you know. And it had been a long time, actually, since I first visited there. And boy, have they grown. I remember the interview. And at the end of that interview, back in January of 2018, I asked her what her plans were and how she saw Corazon de Nina in the future. And wow, have they done so many things and accomplished so much, and it's all because of big-hearted people like you listeners there. So anyway, let's see. If you remember, by the way, a couple months back, I had Melissa on the episode of Returning to Puerto Vallarta, just a couple weeks back, and we talked about what they did during the pandemic. And so I took that opportunity while I was with her to actually sit down and talk with her and review the things that have happened and the things that they are right now doing over at Corazon de Nina. So anyway, let's go right now to San Luis Potosi, number 355, in the Colonia Niños Héroes of Puerto Vallarta, and let's chat with our friend Melissa Canes, Corazon de Nina. Melissa, thanks for coming on the show again.
Oh, thank you, Barry.
I got to tell you that when the cab driver was pulling around here and he was saying, where is this place? And I'm looking around and I'm looking at your building. And I went, I think it's here, but it didn't look like this 3 years ago. So a whole bunch has happened. Tell us what's going on. What's happening here? What kind of changes?
Oh, well, there's always so much going on. Just when I think, okay, everything's good to go and we'll just leave it as is, and something else comes up, or people come and they have ideas, and that's wonderful. We've really focused a lot on having solar panels, for example, to help with our very elevated electrical bill. Well, it's now about half of what it was. And we're working on putting in some more. So that's something you would see driving over the top of the hill there, a bunch of solar panels.
Yeah.
And it's something that we've really enjoyed teaching the kids about, because it's not something they ever had any, exposure to. Yeah. So the energy, the solar panels has been a great thing. We also had a group of people come and donate and volunteer to put in the garden at the front of the house.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
Also to obviously create beauty and create a, kind of a sanctuary feel to it, welcoming, and also to absorb the sun, because it would just beat into those front windows where those are the classrooms. So it's made a difference as well. And in terms of inside, we did finish with the help of some very wonderful donors who shared our vision, the first level of the transitional housing.
Okay, so talk about that. What is transitional housing?
Well, transitional housing is literally a place for our young people once they're 18 and they're studying university, or if it's a technical career, whatever they've chosen. They have a place to live with, instead of sharing a dorm with 15 people, they maybe share with 2 or 4.
Okay.
And the idea, they're kind of like little apartments, and it just gives them a little bit of autonomy and a place to call their own, a place to get away, because most of them have a fairly big responsibility here. If they're 18 and they're still here, it's that they have a responsibility. They also receive, through the Becca's program, a little, an honorarium, you could say. So funds, and they need to manage those funds. And although it's their own bank account and they're on their own with it, so to speak, they do have to let us know how they're doing, so that they're learning how to manage money, not just spend it all. And right away we could see who the big spenders were going to be. It's like, no, wait a minute. If you were not here, how would that look? What would happen? What if you had, a wife and 2 or 3 kids, and you just went out and bought all of those things, and you had rent to pay? And so we're always talking to them about the future and preparing them for that. And the transitional housing, is giving us the physical, let's say, an experience where they do have to be responsible for their own space, keeping it clean, keeping it maintained. We do inspections. They're involved in the inspections, but they know that this is what it's all about. So we've just started it because we just finished a couple of months ago, these first units, and so far so good. And it will develop and grow as we go along, but that's what that's about. And the whole idea behind it is, what is the point in doing all this work with a young person? And because they've turned 18, which is the way it generally works here in Mexico, you can live in a home or an orphanage or a shelter, whatever they choose to call it, and until you're 17. When you're 17, they're basically saying, okay, you're going to have to leave soon. And we all know that nobody's ready at 17, or very few people are ready at 17 or 18 or even 19 to be out on their own, especially if we want them to attend some kind of post-secondary education and have a chance at a decent life. So although generally here in Mexico, people think that it's excessive, that we kind of do too much, but we look at it the opposite. We've done so much. Why would we drop the ball right before they're
free to go? You know? When you say that they have responsibilities, these 18-year-olds, what are they doing?
What are they doing? Well, for example, Chuy, he's Juan de Jesus, but we call him Chuy. He's responsible for all the laundry for the boys. So he runs the laundry room for all of them. And this young man is he's starting dentistry.
Yeah.
next month. And for, I think, 4 hours a day, he actually works with a local dentist, Doctora Terevalle, and she's on our board. So he's already working with her in her dental office as her assistant, and will be starting school. So our future dentist
is that? I mean, come on.
runs the laundry room.
Yeah, well, he's going to obviously graduate from laundry and go into dentistry here.
He is.
Where's the chair? Have you got one yet?
We will be getting one,
Okay, good.
so he can do cleaning and so on here.
See, look at that. I was kidding, and you're serious.
No, serious. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, because that's great training too.
Absolutely.
Does he like everybody? Because I don't want him pulling any teeth or anything like that. He's okay? He's well liked and they like him?
He is.
Okay.
He's very calm, very just kind of the perfect person to be a dentist.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Right. I can't wait to see this guy in a white coat. Here we go. Mm-hmm. And so these are the things that they do. They're in charge of
A specific area.
A specific area. Okay.
Something big. So that would be an example with the boys, and with the girls. Pamela, she's been here since day one, and she's in her second year of business administration at Arcos. And she historically has been in charge of the girls, everything to do with inventory, what they need, where everybody is, where they sleep, and so on. Now we're changing it up a bit for her because of her career. We want her to do something that's related to administration. Sure. So she is heading up the bazaar, the new bazaar we have here. So she's in charge of everything around it, from marketing to, again, inventory to everything to do with that little bazaar. She's in charge of it.
Excellent.
So
yeah, and the bazaar is attached to your building, and it's open to the public, right? People can walk in. And what kind of things do you have in there? We
have books and clothes and some furniture items. We have right now some mattresses, and we're looking forward to more donations. We have curtains, I think some sheets, and an assortment of things, household items, some plates and pots and pans and whatever people bring us that we can't use here. We put it in the bazaar.
Nice.
It really helps.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. And it gives these kids an opportunity to experience the salesmanship portion of this life.
Yes.
All right. So those are good examples of what these 18-year-old plus people are doing. Have people just graduated and gone off and to become like, I saw something about you had a barber, and a couple other things like that going on.
Yeah, we do. We've had people. We have one young woman who was here in the very beginning. She's an architect. She lives in California. There are different stories. Some people have their own business. Some people, we just had actually Alejandra, who was here in the very beginning. She's come back and she's teaching recreation here, and well, you could say, what is it they call it? She does kind of a CrossFit.
Oh, okay.
And weight training and yoga in the new gym. And she's studying architecture. So she hasn't graduated from university yet, but she definitely finished her high school here. And she's fluent in English. She did her university English as well.
Cool.
So we're glad to have her back.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's just, that's so wonderful to hear. It's so heartwarming to hear. So tell us, what other kinds of things, new stuff that have happened around here? You've got those new dormitories. You got the solar panels.
The new gym, the new dorm, the Casa Transición, the transitional housing. And as I said, the solar panels. We haven't really been able to do anything major because we've been in the kind of the pandemic mode.
Yeah.
So you just kind of, in a holding pattern, you could say, really focused on the kids' health. So increasing the vitamin C intake, and just really being careful, in every way. So we don't have kind of a new project, inside the house, but we do have one outside, which we will be working on raising money for in the next season. And that is our new Corazon school. So last season, well, a year ago, actually, we had a very kind and generous donor purchase a property for the foundation on the corner across from the store.
Okay.
And the idea behind it was to have a school and a beautiful kind of yard where the kids could run and play, and not necessarily play soccer. That's what the field is for. Luckily, we have one nearby, but a place for them to climb the tree and run around and play in an open but safe environment.
Yeah.
So we've had that property for a year now, and we're just hoping in the future to raise money to build a little school.
That's very cool. And probably a little economical if you got a school of your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that also the transportation to the school is probably pretty easy at that point, right? Just walk across the street.
Yeah. Well, right now it's inside, but with the numbers we have, we need the space inside for other things. So it will be really great to have that, and for them to have that place to, I mean, it's very close, but still to go out and walk a little bit and go to school. It's a nice feeling because they're inside all the time. They're,
Yeah. Let's talk about maybe your plans for the upcoming high season. We're all hopeful that things will start coming back to normal with whatever new they want to throw on there. What are your plans?
Well, our plans are to kind of go on as usual, and like everyone else, see what happens, see how this is all going to pan out. I mean, people are going to, I think, come back. Some people aren't. I mean, we've heard from people that were very involved that say they're going to stay home. Yeah. But we will continue with we have our Humanitarian Tour. I mean, we'll do it once a week and we'll see how we do. And that's kind of what we do every year anyway, and then increase it if we need to. But we're thinking once a week. Mm-hmm. Still planning to do our Christmas event that we did last year. Nice. That was really wonderful. And the gala, somebody asked me the other day, are you going to do that? And I said, well, it is outside. So if you're thinking about the whole COVID situation, it's actually, not a bad thing because it is outside. It's not inside a salon in the hotel or something. So we hope to do that because it's something that we do look forward to every year, not only as a fundraiser, but also as a tradition, a family event, because we do the quinceañera, of course, at the same time. So we hope that everybody, not everybody will, but that most people will decide to come back and that we can enjoy a good season.
There you go. All right. Well, I'm here to tell you, so far so good, everybody. I mean, it's all normal except for everybody looks like the Lone Ranger around here. Is there anything you wanted to add? Is there something that I've forgotten to ask you?
I would just ask that people really consider sponsoring a child for back to school. That's kind of an immediate need. If there are people in town that would like to shop, some people prefer, they say, I'd rather than give money, I'd rather shop. Well, just be in touch and we can definitely give you a list, whether it's school supplies or clothes or footwear or shopping. So for food, and other supplies that we need, that's ongoing. So we always need the basics that you would all need in your home: shampoo, toilet paper, paper towel. But we need large quantities, but anything you could bring would help. I mean, a liter of milk helps. A dozen eggs, it helps, believe me. So, however people would like to become involved, they can just let us know. So be in touch, and we'll let you know how you can do that.
Exactly. And I'll have the links to all that in the show notes. You can find it at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. You started off with how many kids here?
We started with 13.
And how many you got now?
82.
All right. Look at you.
24/7.
Wow. I'm just so grateful for you. I got to tell you, you are incredible.
Thank you.
And thank you for all you do for these kids here in Puerto Vallarta. And thank you again for coming on the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show and letting my listeners hear all about what's going on here at Corazon de Nina.
Thank you, Barry.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. Now I have links to all the things Corazon de Nina, and they are in the show notes over at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. Make your plans to attend a couple of their events this year. And if you can't make it down this year, hey, look, you can help them out by sending them some money. They really need you more than ever right now. All right, now let's head on into town and let's meet our next guest. And let's visit his restaurant. His restaurant is called Pasa. And so what does Que Pasa mean? Well, Que Pasa means what's up, what's happening, right? Not to be confused with Que Pasó, which means what happened, but Que Pasa, what's happening. Que Pasa is actually tucked up high in the Emiliano Zapata neighborhood of Puerto Vallarta. If you start over at the old bridge, over at the old Rio Quale Bridge, and you go over there to Achilles Cerdan, and you start heading up the street. Just keep walking, walk. Eventually, you will come upon the restaurant Que Pasa. It's a very, very friendly neighborhood bar. And, when you walk in there, there's a pool table. There's lots of comfortable seating. There's a beautiful bar. And it really is the centerpiece of this place. Now, opposite the bar, there's a kitchen where some great bar grub is created. And there's a patio area that actually converts into a dance floor. And right there, of course, is a stage that's set up for a good-sized stage for bands to perform from. So it's actually a pretty good-sized place altogether. And because JR lives so close to Que Pasa, it's almost always a stop for me, at least once or twice every trip down. So anyway, after hounding owner Scott, for an interview for over a year, he finally agreed to come on the show. So let's go right now. Let's go deep into the Emiliano Zapata neighborhood of Puerto Vallarta. Let's go to Achilles Cerdan 625. And let's talk with one of the most sincere guys and hardworking dudes I've ever met. He's a restaurateur. He's a realtor too. His name is Scott Naida, and he is the man in charge at Que Pasa Bar and Grill, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Scott, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for all you do, drawing attention to our beautiful city, Puerto Vallarta.
Thank you, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you here to Puerto Vallarta?
Born and raised in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, and Northern Ontario boy, and moved to big city of Toronto. Was a realtor there for over 20 years, and got my real estate license in Puerto Vallarta a few years ago. And then as a side job hobby, I bought a bar restaurant.
Aha, a side job. Okay, let's talk a little bit about your restaurant. But before we get to that, you said you were a real estate agent, and then you came to Puerto Vallarta and became a real estate agent as well. Obviously, you spent a lot of time here before that, yes?
Yeah, my first vacation here was 21 years ago, and I've heard this from many people have said they got off the plane and within hours they just had this deja vu feeling like they were home. And that's what happened with me. I couldn't figure out or understand the feeling that I had, but somehow I just knew from the first time I came here on vacation that someday I'd be living here.
So this was in your mind, that this was what you were going to do, but you probably didn't think, or did you think you would be a realtor here?
No, I really, the first time I came here, I had no intention of leaving Canada. I love being Canadian. I never thought this would actually happen, but like I said, it was just a gut feeling my first time in Vallarta that I was home.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about real estate in a little bit, but let's talk about your hobby, your side job here. Tell us a little bit about Pasa. How did that all come about? I mean, Pasa's been here for how many years?
At least 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when did you take over?
2.5 years ago. It was funny. I'd been thinking, I'd always had this dream of owning a bar restaurant, but not wanting to give up on my real estate career, doing both. And I lived across the street from Pasa, and I used to come here all the time. And I'd been thinking I wanted to have a bar restaurant, and someone let me know, well, one of your favorite hangouts, Pasa, is for sale. Why don't you go talk to the owner? And went and talked to Mike, and by the next day I had a bar.
Wow, that didn't take long.
No, not at all.
All right, so when you buy this bar, you bought what was inside of it? Did you buy the building? What's the deal with that?
No, I didn't buy the building. I'm not that rich, but
okay, just checking. Just checking.
Yeah, no, but all the fixtures and equipment and inventory, and basically wanted to take it over as it was. I didn't want to change the place at all. I liked it the way it was. So.
Yeah. All right. So tell us a little bit about it. What's your menu like here?
We have gringo or home comfort food. We also have some Mexican food, but we've got a pretty international menu. I surprise people once in a while. I hop in the kitchen and make some Indian food as a special.
Yeah.
Butter chicken and a grilled eggplant curry and different things. I like to mix it up once in a while. Do schnitzel with Hungarian dumplings. Now I'm starting to do some of my grandmother's old Ukrainian recipes like pierogies and cabbage borscht, which is a type of soup, and cabbage rolls. Things I don't like to compete, so I like to be able to serve things that other people aren't serving here in Vallarta, and kind of filling in on those things that we miss from home.
Yeah, and they're obviously, what you've got here is unique, because sounds like, family recipes and just, amazing food. Anyway, it sounds like to me. How would you learn to cook?
Through my parents mainly, actually through my mom and my grandmother, at least the recipes that I do from home. But I did work in a restaurant when I was 18, 19 until I was about 23.
And then you have a regular cook too, obviously.
Yep. My family found it quite entertaining. I took pictures of my Mexican chef making pierogies, and a couple Ukrainian family members were very impressed that a Mexican would learn how to make pierogies and do them well.
Yeah, all right. That is impressive. I'll bet you that made them proud. Look at you spreading. You're going international on us here.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So now you serve. What, breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What do you serve?
Yep, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Right now, with COVID restrictions, we have to operate on our restaurant license because bars, as of yet, are not supposed to be open.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, we've got the entire time that we're open right now, we have to have a chef in the kitchen. We have to be serving food.
Right. Yeah, you have to show that you're doing. Hey, same in the States. If you're a bar, you got to serve food, and you can't just serve any food. You got to serve real food for some reason. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I've heard of some other businesses in town that were putting out bowls of peanuts and popcorn as food. And they were quickly told by the reglamentos, which are our version of a city inspector, that was not going to fly.
Yeah. There you go. So there you have it, everybody. You've got a beautiful bar, and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there's something unique about this place everybody likes. We got a nice leaky roof. Let's call it Mexican authentic. There's a certain old charm to this place that I didn't want to get rid of. So that's why I haven't tried to change it too much, because people love the place just kind of the way it is. It's got a unique character to it, the building itself.
It does. It's actually a beautiful, beautiful space inside. You have drink specials during the day?
We have happy hour 7 days a week from 4 to 7 p.m.
Excellent. Okay. And how late you guys open?
Right now, we're closing at 10 p.m.
So, let's just say it was a regular season, and let's say COVID ends anytime soon. How are we talking? You close at any time later than that, or are you usually 10?
I've never been one to have set hours. I love having customers. So if I've got customers in here, the last thing I want to do is turn the lights up, shut off music, and start putting chairs on top of tables. So if we've got customers, we stay open. Our license allows us to be open as late as 2 in the morning.
All right, look at you. All right, and you have a stage, and it looks like you got a little area where dancing and frivolity happens. Is that what happens around here?
Yeah, when we have bands high season, they really get people up and moving. People like Stoli and Sylvie and the Zippers, also Tequila Rush play here from time to time, and the Hoochie Coochie Men.
Ah, really? The Hoochie Coochie Men.
The Hoochie Coochie Men. They're quite the characters.
Well, we love Sylvie and the Zip. We love all those people. I've never heard of the Hoochie Coochie Men. We'll have to figure that one out. All right, let's just take a quick little trip outside of Pasa just for a few minutes, and let's talk a little bit about the town. Normally, when I have a restaurateur in front of me and I ask them what their favorite restaurants are, I feel kind of bad about that. So you can say yes or no, because you do lunch and breakfast and dinner, and that just it just ruins my bonus round, because I ask for ask for that. So if you would you share anything, maybe your favorite breakfast spot other than Pasa?
Other than here? Oh, absolutely. Breakfast would be La Palapa on the beach. I love the breakfast. I also really, really happy to see Siam Thai here in town. Really, really good, authentic Thai food. And then my favorite, when I've got some bonus money, my favorite place to go is always La Leche.
Really? Tell us about La Leche. I have never been there.
Pretty unique food. Never brought a group of people there that weren't thoroughly impressed with every bite. So, but that's for a special night out.
That's a special night out.
That's not a weekly visit. No.
Okay, so no La Capella, but La Leche.
I have not tried that place.
Oh, well, see, there's another spot. All right. Those are all great.
That's one thing about Vallarta that amazes me, is now that I've been living here full-time for almost 6 years, there are still places I'm discovering all the time. I don't know when I'm ever going to know about or have been everywhere, because there's always something new or something you didn't know about.
Yeah, especially with your new hobby, because you seem to be here a lot. Let's talk about that just before we go back out, because when you started getting yourself into the restaurant business, that's probably a lot different than being a realtor. It sounds like it takes a lot of your time.
It does, and I wasn't planning on it being like that. I was planning on coming in, being the back office business person, pushing paperwork, and quickly realized that people who come to Puerto Vallarta really want to know the face of the business. They really want to know the owner personally, and I was not planning on spending a lot of time in here, especially we have a staff of interesting characters who our customers have really gotten to know. And so I thought, they like the staff. They don't need me around here. Yeah, little did I know. No, I need to be here. So,
yeah, I find that businesses in Vallarta, the ones that do really well are the ones where there is a face that they can connect with the business, and a friendship. People.
I don't know though. Look at this face. I don't know how many people that's going to attract.
Come on, Scott. Come on. Handsome.
No,
dude.
yeah,
You're
no.
handsome
I never thought I'd be the face of the business.
Yeah.
I don't like being in the spotlight. That's why I've delayed so long in getting back to you about doing an interview.
Yeah. See, look at that. Yeah. He's afraid, but I told him I don't bite, and here he is.
Ow.
All right. All right. Let's go back outside. Let's ask you, if you were going to leave Puerto Vallarta for a day and go somewhere and then come back, where would you go?
Oh, you asked the right person. But I have to have one answer.
No, you can give me two.
No, because that was one of the things the first time. As soon as I bought a vehicle, I am on the road every week somewhere. I love to go down to El Tuito, to Maito, and Teguamixle, which is a little fishing village where they haul the oysters right out of the bay. You can't get fresher oysters than there.
Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen them shuck those oysters over there in Tehua. Let me tell you, they're huge.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. All right, so if you were going to go away for 3 days, where would you go?
Hacienda El Carmen. El Carmen is located south of Tequila off of Highway 15D. It's in between Tequila and Ameca. It's a 400-year-old monastery that was turned into a boutique hotel. It's all walled in with a big artificial pond, a pool, and they have horses for the guests. And no guide, nothing. They just give you the horse and away you go. And it's a beautiful place just on the other side of the Sierra Madre Mountains.
Wow. That sounds amazing. And so you can do that in a 3-day?
Well, you can get there in probably about 4 hours. So,
okay. So yeah, you
even 1 or 2 nights you could do.
Nice. Okay, so this horseback ride that you're going to take, where do you go? You just around town? What do you do?
They gave me no instructions the first time I stayed out there. I was quite surprised. All the rooms have direct outside doors, or it's all on one level. And so I went back to my room after being at the front desk asking for a horse, and the horse was tied up right outside my door. No staff, no explanation, nothing. Good thing I'd ridden a horse before.
Yeah.
And so I just hopped on the horse and just take it wherever you want.
And just tie it up in front of a watering hole and hop in, huh?
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't stop anywhere. When I was done, I brought it right back to them. I didn't know what else to do with it. So.
I love that. God, I got to go there. It must be is it expensive to stay there?
Relatively expensive, but the secret with that place.
Yeah.
Hacienda El Carmen, it gets booked almost every single weekend for weddings and special events. Midweek, you can usually get a last-minute deal for midweek stays because the place is basically empty. The first time I went there, I was the only guest. It was a 40-room hacienda, and I was the only guest there with all the staff, just me and my little chihuahua, and all the staff at my disposal. It was quite something.
And all the horses, too. You could have probably changed them up all day long.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to saddle that many of them for me. But.
No, that's probably bad. Bad idea, Barry. Okay. Wow, so that's great. Okay, so that's a great tip. Remember, I will have this information in the show notes, so make sure you can check them out over at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com and look for the Pasa interview, and you'll find Scott's recommendations. Any other 3 days?
Ooh, I just got back from Morelia a week ago in Michoacan. Beautiful, beautiful town. Everything in the town is made of Cantera stone, every building. Even the OXXO. You've never seen a more beautiful OXXO convenience store than in Morelia. Everything is historical, so they can't even put their signs on the outside of the buildings to disrupt the style of the city.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds beautiful. All right, Morelia. All right, where do you stay when you go there?
With friends.
Okay.
I have not stayed in a hotel there yet.
Okay, but I'm sure they have them, yes?
I'm pretty sure it's got over 1 million people there. So
oh, yeah.
Be a
They'll
hotel.
have a hotel, maybe even some Airbnbs. You never know. All right, well, those are both great suggestions, and once again, I'll have those in the show notes. Do you have a word of advice for a first-time visitor to Puerto Vallarta?
Get off the resort and don't do all-inclusive. There is so much to see and do. It's very safe. You can walk around basically anywhere. There's no reason to sequester yourself on a resort. You don't really get the full experience of what Puerto Vallarta is if you just stay on a big resort.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we tell people that a lot, so there you go. More proof, everybody, that get off the resort. And if you actually go to a resort, don't get that full meal plan. Come into town and eat. That's where the food is. That's where the great food is in Puerto Vallarta. Do you have any words of warning for a first-time visitor to Puerto Vallarta?
Yeah, be careful. You might eventually want to move here.
Touché. All right, that's very good. You have this beautiful bar. Drinking goes on here. Any fun stories you can tell?
One of them I like. Being a bar owner, I was not having to deal with inebriated people, and sometimes they don't take well to being told the party's over. So you will notice when you come to Puerto Vallarta, there are a lot of beach vendors selling a lot of useless items that you never would need in your life. Well, there is a cartoon character in Mexico called Chipotle Chion, and he carries this huge wooden guacamole mallet. It's big red and yellow thing. And here's this vendor walking down the beach trying to sell a big plastic version. It's, almost about 3 feet long, this gigantic plastic, silly-looking mallet. And again, like always with these vendors, what on earth would I need that for? And I thought, oh my God, that would be great for the bar. So when people get a little out of hand, I walk over with this big mallet over my shoulder. And as soon as they see it, they start laughing, but they get the point.
I love it. All right. We all like those kind of tools. And it seems like...
It makes people laugh.
Yeah, and it seems like it probably wouldn't hurt too much if you got nailed by one, so that's not bad. All right, so... Let's come back to Pasa. Tell us your hours, the days that you're here, your address.
We're located in Emiliano, Zapata, which the best way to describe it is that we are east of Old Town, about 10 blocks away from the beach, on Achilles Cerdan, number 625 Achilles Cerdan. Because, of course, in Mexico, we say the street name first and the street number last. So it's Achilles Cerdan 625.
Excellent. Okay. And you have a website or Facebook, or what do you got going there?
Yeah, I'm guilty for only checking my Facebook because I'm lazy. We have a website as well, but it doesn't get updated very often.
Okay, all right. Well, if you need that information about Cape Pasa, come to my website. Come to www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. You'll find it there. We'll have pictures of the inside of this place. We'll have pictures of Scott. He's not going to let me take pictures of him right now because, it's the middle of August and we're both sweating like, dogs. Okay. But I'm going to have a great headshot of Scott and, of course, of the bar and a map that'll take you right to the front door of Cape Pasa. Is there anything that you want to add? Is there something that I've forgotten? You want to add anything at all?
No, not really. Aside from thanking you for all the work that you do to connect people with Puerto Vallarta and living a real experience when they're here. I always hear in your podcasts a lot of really good advice.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate that. I thank you, and I thank you very much for allowing me to introduce you and Cape Pasa to my listeners. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, Scott. Thank you, Scott. I have all kinds of links for all the great places that Scott talked about, and you, of course, can find it in the show notes. And Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show. Great ideas. I love Cape Pasa. I have spent many, many great hours there whiling the time away, so thanks for that. Anyway, next week, I want you all to stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, then please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us a message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com. That's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value for value proposition, my friends. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were going to use someone else, so do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget, he's got his maps, his DIY tours, his revitalized happy hour board, and more. And I have links to all of those in the show notes. And once again, if you like this podcast, well, please take the time and subscribe and give me a good review on iTunes if you would. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with every episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you really need to have a look there. I have the links to the places we talk about, interesting pictures, and more, all right there in my blog post and in the show notes for each episode of the show. So check them out for sure if you haven't already, all right? All right. Thank you, Melissa Canez from Corazon de Nina. All I can say is give. Make sure you attend some of their events this year. And thanks Scott Naida from Pasa. Check out his cool Vallarta-style neighborhood bar. Check out a band. Catch Sylvie and the Zippers there, or Steve Tenney, Tequila Rush. Eat, drink, dance, have a great time at Pasa. It's a place to have a good time with friends, or just to make some new ones. I have pictures in the show notes, so check them out. Thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Solo camino eterno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. De Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta.